Welcome to the Vertical MRO podcast, where we dive into the world of helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul. In each episode, we talk with the technicians, engineers, and experts who keep helicopters flying. Because at the end of the day, no maintenance, no mission.
This conversation was recorded live at the Irving MRO conference, where we spent time connecting with maintainers, students, operators, and leaders from across the helicopter industry. You're about to hear one of those conversations, a chance to highlight the people and companies driving rotorcraft maintenance forward, sharing their challenges, insights, and passion for the work. We're excited to share it with you, and we hope you'll pass it along to anyone who'd enjoy being a part of the growing helicopter MRO community. Let's jump into the interview.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Vertical MRO Podcast. Welcome back. It's been an amazing first full day here at Irving and the convention, the conference. John, thank you for joining us as well.
Yeah.
Meeting a lot of great people. It's great this time around. It's a little less busy on the podcasting side, so I've actually got to sit in on a couple of panels, and it's been very, very fun. And that's part of where I found Bill and Jordan. Thank you for joining us, guys. We have you guys from Ace Aeronautics. Yeah, first of all, what's your first impressions of the conference so far? How are you finding it?
Well, I tell you, we talked about the trip here prior to coming, taking a look at, we've been to a lot of conventions, MRO, aviation conventions, helicopter, like HAI, Verticon, Quad A, Army. This one's well put together. The team, Leslie and them did a great job. We're talking more with MRO, maintenance, talking with IA personnel who came here to get more qualifications as an IA. But we're finding, especially for Ace Aeronautics, I think today we ran into a young lady who's out of Irving here at a school for A&P school.
Yep.
And we're one of the few companies out there that strive on giving opportunity to young men and women who are going through school to get their A&P and give them a shot before they don't have a lot of experience, but we like to train them from the beginning, hopefully teaching them right and bring them up. So those are some of the things that we're looking for. And then, of course, there was a list of stuff Jordan and I were looking for that we need to grow our MRO capability there at Ace Aeronautics in Gunnersville, Alabama.
When I sat in on the panel about Ace Aeronautics, and you were talking and sharing so much about the UH-60 work that you guys are doing, I was just really struck by the openness, the honesty about what that experience has been like, the experience of getting Sikorsky to approve the work that Ace Aeronautics is doing. And it sounded like quite the journey and process. How long was that process overall? And now it sounds like you guys have so much work that coming here and getting that opportunity to connect with the students is a key part as well, because there's a lot of work to be done.
Well, I would tell you that our leaders, our bosses, they've had that in plan working with Sikorsky, because they had a path, a vision forward on how to grow us as an individual company, but also be a partner in working with Sikorsky. The beginning part was not that hard. The audit with the inspector and the team in there, you're talking a week. But getting everything correct, it took us probably a good 7 months, because there are some things that you have to go back and change. Mm-hmm. We had to go back and make
totally different than the way we operate.
So even though we're a 145 FAA repair facility, and so is Sikorsky, they look at it a little bit different, and it's all about Sikorsky. It's all about the UH-60 aircraft and only the UH-60 aircraft. Whereas at Ace Aeronautics, when I came, Jordan was the maintenance head of the maintenance there running. I would tell you that we focused on, we started out as a research and development company, and then we grew into MRO. And as a 145 repair station, that was pretty easy, following the manual on that. But Sikorsky has a little bit more stricter rules. And they had a requirement, as you heard me say during the briefing. I have very, very experienced, very qualified personnel there. Jordan is my right arm. He's the director of maintenance. And as the vice president for operations, I rely on Jordan. Well, his background is Apache.
Right.
Retired military.
Not good in Sikorsky's eyes.
But
Even with an AMP, they didn't care.
Oh, wow.
So first they did holler about how many AMP you have, but then it was geared to how many are actually UH-60 qualified personnel. Well, when you start going down my leadership that I have working under me, I guess Sikorsky or Jordan,
I'm a Boeing guy.
He's a Boeing guy.
Yeah.
I have my director of quality
A Boeing guy.
is a Boeing guy, Chinook.
All right.
And
Yes.
so,
And then Jacob, he's a Boeing guy. He's a 46 guy.
and then they started going, "Where's your Black Hawk guys?" And then so we had to go through that, and then to be a key leader, especially being a service center, they wanted key people that they could rely on, that truly understands the Black Hawk. Now, Jordan's been working with me for a long time. He knows the Black Hawk very well, and the other guys that are in the leadership. But we had to check the block. So I sent him to STA, which is Sikorsky Training Academy in Lower. They had a vacation down in Lower Florida.
We got to go to South Florida for a week, and I mean it was a good course. We had, like he mentioned, my course we went with my lead AVI. So I took the supervisor down there. He's in charge of all the AVIs, all the wiring guys. I mean, and at the end of the day, the wiring guys, we don't require them to be a specific Black Hawk guy. If you can splice, you can lay a harness in, and Joe can teach him the rest. Well, he goes down there, and the course is really set up for more of a mechanic. And so Joe being electronics, he nerded out. So he goes down there and they start telling him, hit this button, it goes to there. Well, he knows there's wires in between there, but he has no idea what he's wiring up. So he gets to go down there and learn, okay, components of this, hydraulic components, okay, things that helped him troubleshoot. So he really learned, more than Rob and I did, or Jacob or Matt or any of the guys that went down prior to us. But we learned some stuff about I've never worked on a Mike model. I've always been an Alpha Lima guy after working on Apaches. So I did learn that, and but it was a block that we had to check, because in Sikorsky's eyes, we cannot direct maintenance without having some form of UH-60 training. So I've got, 15 uniforms. So that's Rob, Chinook guy. I was a 15 Romeo, 67 Romeo Apache guy, and I've got Jacob, who's my right hand. He was a 46 Frog guy from the Marines. So, but as a civilian, he's only worked on Blackhawks. Can rig an aircraft blindfolded.
Sure.
Not good enough. So had to get that block so that he's officially trained with Sikorsky. I didn't realize that when we brought Sikorsky in, you think of Sikorsky and a Blackhawk military aircraft. Well, being in the military, we operated totally different. You don't have to have an AMP. They teach you everything you need to know. You're by the airworthiness of the military. Sikorsky comes in, he starts talking about 145 this, 145 that, and then you figure out really quick that they may sell a military aircraft, but they do not build it or operate there at all like the military, which was a huge eye-opener for us.
Interesting.
They're strictly FAA 145 facility. And so, like, one of the questions is the other personnel sitting in the briefing is that, talking about Sikorsky and how hard it was to be on a 145 FAA, but meeting the requirements that Sikorsky's asking. A lot of stuff they're doing, we are doing also, but we had to change some of the processes. Because they're strict on some areas and other areas we were very strict on. And so you have to change it to be able to accommodate to where they look at us and honestly believe that we can represent Sikorsky as the OEM, as their support center, and talk to the customers out there. And the way that this process goes, Sikorsky has a lot of customers, and the intent for the service center is for us to help relieve some of the pressure on them and take on certain customers and focus mainly on the older aircraft. Yeah. Our part of this is for the Alpha Plus, the Lima, the S-70 Alpha, S-70 India aircraft. that's the area that they want us to focus, because they have customers coming to them needing some mods, some repairs, and that's to kick the ball over to us. Let us go out there and support them as a service center and do those mods, training that needs to be done, and help get those customers up to par and support. So it helps relieve them a little bit of the pressure in the world.
Makes total sense, but it was a process and a journey to get there, and even experienced personnel still ultimately needing to find a way to check that box.
Yes, sir.
And so from a personnel way, we were chatting a little bit earlier today, and we were talking about where you find yourselves location-wise, right, and the unique challenges that are faced there. But even what you were mentioning too about bumping into the graduating classes that are here, and the need to be investing and providing those opportunities to generate those experiences. I was talking to James Simmons, who's in your neck of the woods, and he's trying to find a way to create a path that he's in an engineering mecca, but aviation has been missed in some of those areas of creating those pathways and inspiring people to take that leap. How are you guys finding navigating that, or how do we approach that challenge and meet it and work together as a community as a whole to provide those opportunities for people?
Well, I would tell you that at first the information needs to get out. Just like the young lady that Jordan and I was just talking from the school here in Irving, she was just talking about A&P and the kids coming into school. But to get the communication out to the schools, those kids need to understand that there's an opportunity. I would tell you, we work very close to an A&P school, and Jordan works with them very close. And lower at Alabama, where I was at Fort Rucker, now Fort Novacell, we were by Ozark, which is another A&P school. And these young kids are going to school, getting their education, getting a degree, but now working to get, I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a AI guy, or a structural person, or a power system. What happens is a lot of people, when they come out there, you don't have experience on the platform, they don't give them an opportunity. At Ace Aeronautics, I would tell you, we strive to that. We honestly believe, get that young individual on board, teach them correctly with the book, on the process, on how to work on the aircraft, how to follow the doctrine, and then hopefully teach them correctly on how to do maintenance. I've been doing this for a while, and you get a retiree who's been working on an aircraft for 30 years, 20-some years. When they get out, they learned it one way and they don't want to change.
No, their habits are – we'd rather teach them our bad habits so that we don't have to fix, bad habits from, military or a retiree. And this gives them the opportunity that, one, I don't get somebody out of the – which, most of our folks, they're out of the Army, but they've been doing it for a long time. It's become a job. So I get a kid straight out of A&P school, or like in our case, because we're right there, I like to hire kids while they're still in school. So, they're part-time. We let them go to school. They go to school at night, but they work for me during the day. And, this is a 18-year-old kid most of the time. And now he's working, he's training to work on a Black Hawk without having to go in the Army.
Right. Yeah.
He's not having to go, work at an airline for pennies or, do this, which is good. The airlines need people, but at the end of the day, this is an opportunity that some of them, they might not get for 10 more years down the road until someone finally throws a bone to them because they didn't have experience. So we get to train them up from, they go through A&P school, and they've primarily learned fixed wing.
Sure, yeah.
So, that's what they're taught.
If they get that rotorcraft, it's like, for 3 months.
Gold,
and that.
You walk into – we work with Snead State there in Alabama. Great facility, and they've got one of the best labs I've ever been in when it comes to training aids. When I went to, I did a school in Tennessee and thought it was really good, after I got out of the Army to get my AMP. And but I walked in there, and they've got engine run stands, they've got hydraulic scenarios, they've got all these. Just an incredible lab. But there's not one thing in there that will lead them down a rotary wing, path.
Yeah.
So they can come to us. That's what we do. So we give them, 2 avenues. Going to work on a military aircraft that they'll never touch.
Right.
Without it. and it introduces it gets a person interested in the rotary. I mean, we're a dying breed, so it's getting harder and harder to recruit people into aviation as a whole. There's more aircraft being built every day, and there's more people retiring out of aviation than there are coming into it.
I think it was like for every 10 that are retiring, only 6 are coming in was like the one metric that we heard this week.
Yeah, and then some of those just view it as, it's a job. The passion's not there. With these kids, that's there. They went to a school. They found something they really like, and then they're like, a helicopter?
And if they're seeking out helicopter on top of it all, there's something to John and I talk often about the mission of helicopters and the uniqueness of that. And I also wanted to touch on, too, where you're talking about the opportunity of a civilian-trained mechanic to come into Ace Aeronautics to get Black Hawk experience. You're providing that, but not only that, you look at the prevalence of the platform. How busy you guys have for a backlog that's going on, the numbers that we are seeing being released that are going to continue to be released is going to become only more prevalent. So it's a major investment actually for the industry as a whole, the work that you guys are doing to give that opportunity and experience, because the platform is only going to become even more highly utilized.
Oh, well, and here's another good thing. Maybe 10 years ago, you never would have thought you see so many UH-60 aircraft in the civilian world here in the U.S. Now with the divesting of the aircraft, the government, and now the platform is sitting there and you're trying to find the customer, and guess what? Firefighting. One of the biggest areas that's growing here in the United States, not just only in the U.S., it's worldwide. And the platform that's fighting the fire, the main one jumping in there, is the Black Hawk. So these young individuals are coming out of the school, they're learning, they're based with us, but they're going to be running into more Black Hawks. There's a lot more getting divested out. I saw numbers of looking at 800 more going out there.
Yeah, I heard something similar.
So you're going to see these platforms out there, and these kids now, I think today they're going to see the Black Hawk. Back when Jordan was talking about when where we were younger, you would never have saw the Black Hawk. It was always Bell. Bell was the big platform sitting out there.
Yeah.
And but now the Black Hawk's going to be plentiful out there. These kids that are coming to us and learning the basics with us on the Black Hawk, opportunity, and now they want to go out and see another opportunity in the United States. The Black Hawks out there, they got a chance to go in and say, look at the experience I've learned here at Ace Aeronautics. I'm here, and we do a lot with the firefighters, and we build aircraft, we provide it to them. Everybody sees the product that we're putting out there. These kids, they're going out there and they shine. They're able to shine and say, amazing. I built that aircraft. You're flying there. Let me come on board and continue to serve you there and maintain that aircraft. So I see that being a big positive thing, and especially what we're doing here.
Oh yeah, and we get to let them. So we do everything. We do heavy wiring. We have Garmin. We do this. So and we just recently started doing engines in house. So we work with Mint Turbines and a few other things, and they've helped us do training. So now I can have a kid come in and he's like, man, I really like engines. Well, I got lucky. I had one that came in, and he showed an interest with engines. He works on engines now. They can come in and they can say, I'm not as good on the mechanical stuff, but I'm really good at wiring. Well, guess what? I got an entire hangar where we gut aircraft and rewire them. So I'll throw them. That was the
crazy thing, hearing about just how prevalent the rewiring was. That was sort of eye-opening to me, that it's just, sorry, we can't trust that wiring harness anymore. We're doing it from the ground up, and just how far you take that aircraft back to then building it up, and that capability that was at Ace Aeronautics was really, really impressive.
Well, a lot of people who do mods on the aircraft, like I said, if you're out there and I'm going to put a radio in the aircraft, the faster I can put it in the aircraft, at the lowest cost to put it in the aircraft, I'm making pretty good profit out there. Right. We don't look at it that way. As I said during the briefing, we tear this aircraft apart because we do a major repair and modification of the aircraft, new harnesses, everything in there. And as you heard during the briefing, what we ran into is the you get some who go through school, they get signed off to be a avionics tech, or they get signed off to be a structural tech, a repairman. But when we get them in there, we expect them to be able to read a drawing, an engineering drawing, and then how they're going to put a wiring harness in and where they're going to run it, how they're going to tie it into a terminal board or to a ground. We found that a lot of people say, I'm school training it, but they don't have all that experience. They don't remember that.
Different side of avionics,
Yes.
electrical wiring that most, they
Yes.
change out boxes. They can troubleshoot them, but you give them here's a bag of wires and connectors and a drawing. What can you do for me? And some of them, we've had them walk in the door when they go to so we test the avionics guys when they come in. Some of them, we've had them look at the drawing and they're like, you know what? Overestimated this. Not even
thanks, but no thanks.
Yep. Yeah, they'll do it, and I'd rather they do that than sit there and waste my time for a day struggling to try to build a wiring harness that, within 30 minutes I'm like, you're not going to be able to do it.
And I would tell you too. It's not to the point where we either pass or fail and you're gone. We do go out. We do talk to them while they're looking at the drawing, just to get some of those simple, basic questions to make sure to get the mind thinking to go back to truly what the drawing is and how to build to it. But just like Jordan says, some of them look at it, they know it's way outside, something that they just not going to be able to tackle. We rather them just go ahead and let us know and leave. Others, if we can see that they're trying and they're getting involved into it, and there's a little shove for us to help them to understand what they are, we'll do that because, again, we like to get somebody in and try and get in there, get the experience with us, and then when they show us that they're a little weak in the drawing area, but they got the heart to do it, then we know not to put them on something by themselves. We put them with more of another experience.
Yeah, we have those multiple levels.
And we have
of
levels for them to work so they can get the experience come up, but we'll invest into that.
That's cool.
So,
We had on the Hangar Z podcast Mike Sagely, who is an LA County fire pilot, on the podcast talking about the fires in LA and how beneficial the Sikorsky was in that particular fire. And his opinion of the Sikorsky, I think, is prevalent throughout the industry, is it's so strong because it's so fast. It can lift so much. He talked about being able to get to a water source, draft the water, hit the target, and come back, multiple times as its strength. So I think, like you said, the Sikorsky is going to continue to be the go-to fire suppression platform that's, attacking these fires globally. From your guys' perspective, where do you see as trends? Obviously, firefighting is a big part of the afterlife for these aircraft, but what other mission sets do you see this aircraft fulfilling? And
we got an aircraft that was setting power poles or doing ski lift maintenance. I mean, it's endless.
So when you look into the field and where we provide aircraft throughout the U.S. and around the world, I would tell you that the firefighting is the one that stands out because there's a big demand for it. There's a need for the aircraft. We can't build enough aircraft to meet the fire requirement that's there. So there is, like you said, L.A. County, they fight fires all the time. Really great team down there. And we try to support them as well out Ace Aeronautics. But I would tell you, I've had them where we sold aircraft, just like Jordan's saying, we're setting power lines because of hurricanes or tornadoes and the damage that's out there. The Black Hawk can pull a cable a long way, whereas a company was using MD 530s to pull a cable. I sat there going, oh my goodness. Now that aircraft is a fighter, so don't get me wrong, I'm a big MD guy. I like it very well, but the cables that they got to pull in the length, the Black Hawk pulled it pretty quick. I would tell you that the Black Hawk does a lot of work with building constructions, big high-rise, because they're able to take air-conditioned units and be able to set them on top of the building. The power windmills that you see out there, guess who's out there hovering above to set those in? So the Black Hawk has lift capability, a lot more lift capability, obviously, than the MD or the Bell, smaller Bell aircraft. Twin engine, so you got a lot of power, a lot of reliability. It's just a great platform. We had in the military. You can always count on it. And But I see that aircraft will be around for a long time.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
One of the first aircraft we ever built, they recently used it for search and rescue in Wyoming for hunters. Unfortunately, they didn't. It was by the time they were called on scene and everything, it was too late. They were able to give the family something because they were able to find them. But that aircraft's going out. They fight fires with that aircraft. They do humanitarian work during hurricanes. They do everything. And then recently, they've gotten into helping out their local law enforcement with search and rescue. So, they were able to find those 2 hunters out there in the middle of nowhere that their local law enforcement could not do. So,
and when you take a look at where we're sitting, hurricanes hitting South Florida, you're hitting on the East Coast. Asheville got hit pretty bad.
That aircraft was there.
And that aircraft that was out there was supported by us. That's out there. And our partners, XP Services up in Tullahoma, had an aircraft out there because there's a big call. We need help to help go out and look for people. The Black Hawk has a strong capability to do it. It can take people in, search personnel to get them on the ground, resupply water, material that they need to help get these homes because they're isolated up on the hilltops. So the Black Hawk has a lot of that, capability. And where we are, we're always eager to try to help. I wish that we had more aircraft sitting on the line that was flyable that you can go. But if I had that, my boss would be mad at me because I didn't sell it. It ain't sold and gone to another customer. So get them sold, get them built, get them sold, and get them out there.
We ourselves are not what you consider an operator.
Correct.
We build, we maintain, we sell. Mm-hmm. We can't even keep an aircraft long enough for test hardly. They sell it. We get a couple tests out of it. Hey, we sold that aircraft. Or so we're not really. We do the R&D side of it, but we are not what you would consider the operator. We're there to support the operator.
Correct.
What are you guys seeing as far as trends go with requested modifications to the aircraft that people are bringing in for whatever mission they're doing?
So right now, as I stated during the briefing, the biggest thing we get is how light can you make the aircraft? Why? Because in the firefighting world, they want it as light because they can because they want to pick up more water. And so we get this, can you demod it? Can you get more weight off the aircraft, make it lighter so we can pick up more water, just like what you were saying. They can get out there with that water and dump more onto the fire area. Hopefully that might take out the fire, cut down the trips back and forth to refill. So we get that. The other thing is, obviously, we're in a digital world today. Everybody out there, the old analog gauges in there, I've been flying for a long time, and I'm used to the analog gauges, but when you get into a digital where it's a finger touch a screen, oh my God, you're sitting there going, this is a great world right here. Yeah. And so we get that a lot. We get a lot of people looking at how do you make it digital. As an operator out there, when you go digital, it cuts down the amount of inventory of gauges and instruments you got to have in supply, because you got 4 MFDs and you just replaced 23 other gauges. Oh my God! So we get that a lot, and then
talk about weight and wiring. How much weight you're cutting out with wiring.
Our whole cockpit is off the shelf, so everything we do Garmin, that stuff wasn't made for Ace. The wiring harness is where we came in. The configuration is where we came in. Any of our customers, if PFD goes out, and they can't, either warranty, however it works out, they can go online to Garmin.com and order a new one and reload software and throw it in there. So all the LRUs, all the big components of it, every bit of that is in stock, sitting at Garmin right now.
That's nice. Yeah.
It's a sort of a sea change for an operator in order to be able to have that capability.
Yeah, you're not limited to the OEM. We're an OEM for our harnesses and stuff, but you're not limited to anybody. You don't have to go to we're a dealer for Garmin, but you don't have to come to us.
Yeah.
Or if somebody's on fire, they can call up. You can call your local place. They got GRS went out. This went out. So it's been a popular thing, but the digital aspect of it is, I think, really what the alluring part of it is.
I really appreciate your guys' just openness, right, and being able to share Ace's experience and the things that you are learning and seeing as a part of that process.
Yeah, we went up and down.
Yeah, and that is valuable, that openness for this community as a whole. And I was struck by that the moment that I walked in and walked out of the presentation. Where does that come from? How do we continue to inspire and help the rest of our MRO community see it in that light? How can we sort of raise all ships? This is some of the idea that what we've tried to bring behind the conference.
Well, you know, and most everybody here will connect to this. As a company, it starts at the leadership. It starts at the high leadership that you have. They know what you're doing. When we go in and ask for funds, like I said during the briefing, buying tooling. I mean, some days you don't have enough tooling. You wish you had 9 pieces of equipment and tooling because of the number of aircraft and work. But it starts at the leadership. They got to be bought into it as well. They got to support what we're trying to do. In today's world, it's about cost, right? It's about keep down the amount of money that you're spending, try to do with less, you know, those rules. And we try to do that. Don't get me wrong.
We
it's
do a
not
lot with
carte
a very little small workforce.
But our bosses, when Jordan comes to me and says, I need to buy this, I get approval. I've never been told no. Because they understand the growth, buying tooling, training, getting certain material inside. There's a cost there, and the leadership's got to be able to support the workforce and the operation to meet the goal. If you got restriction at the top, it makes it hard down at the bottom, and then you get beat up while you're not on time delivery. Why is that burden on? I'm waiting on material.
Right.
Why are you waiting on material? Didn't have the funds. I needed the funds to buy. At Ace Aeronautics, I would tell you the leadership is on our side. They're there. The work comes in. But do it right. Now, let me make sure everybody understand this. I don't got carte blanche, and I can run out there and just go by, and nobody's going to check me.
We don't have an unlimited budget.
No, they check me very close.
Right.
With I tell him yes, and I approve it, and it goes. Believe me, I'm in the office explaining exactly what I just spent that amount of money and why. I have to justify it, and that's soundly. That's what my job is. But they don't push back. Do it right. Make sure that the mechanics and the technicians got every tool at their fingertip to do the job. The worst thing in the world is get this young kid coming out of school, come to work with me, and they're looking for the tool to do the job right, and you don't have it. You should have the right tool. So I would tell you leadership's got to be involved. They got to be able to support what you're doing and get out there.
Networking.
And I'm going to tell you, that's a good one there. We can't do this by ourselves.
No.
You heard me say this in the briefing.
Yeah, that's right.
I looked at everybody else sitting in there going, I assure you, some of you in here, I've called you. I've asked you to help me out.
We borrow this and do that. You know, you have to have support.
Yeah, it's a key part. And when you're talking about with the buy-in of ownership, well, there's the practice, the experience, the understanding that you can put it in their light. It just makes me think about how you were talking about the value of a paint booth. And it's like, by doing this, I'm making it easier for you to spend money here because the cost investment is, paid off in a year's time, right? So you need to be strategic about that, showing that you understand where you can get some of those wins for the organization as a whole.
Sure.
But then just by the act of sharing that information, we're building up the community as a whole. We're trying to raise all ships. We're showing what's working for us and how can we continue to bring more of that to bear. Thank you for being a part of the conference and making the time and the space to be here, to be investing in the community. If there's anything that you would want to sort of share with the community as a whole in terms of why it was important to be here or what makes this community special, and then also obviously how they can reach you and connect with Ace. And
first, I would tell you that coming here was good. There's a lot of people we met. There's a lot of stuff that we're able to take back with us because people came and sat with us, and they're looking for an opportunity. So are we. I would tell you the biggest thing here, we need manpower.
Yeah.
I mean, I said this during the briefing. I'll tell you guys
Tooling
this.
and manpower.
I need manpower. Where we are is a beautiful place in Alabama. It says down there, if you like to fish, this is the place you want to come.
Where's Val? Val?
You want to come fish there, but getting high tech, and I say aviation, technicians to want to relocate to where we are, that's a challenge. And Huntsville, which is an hour away, it's a bigger city, obviously. A lot of technology up there. If we were up there, probably less hard to get manpower because there's a lot up there.
Shorter commutes for folks.
Yes.
That's where most people live.
So while we were here, we've been talking to all these schools and everybody and the technicians going through the IA. We're talking to them.
Yeah, he's had IAs walk up to him, interested in Ace,
For opportunity. And our door's open. We're looking for people who's willing to come, be a part of the team. Because that's how we look at you. Be a part of the team.
Even beyond that, when you were in the presentation, you were saying, I know I'm sending you work. I know you're helping us with this piece.
We share it.
So it's about the opportunity for people, the first one coming in or the person who's looking for that new challenge and that opportunity. But then it's the companies as a whole are also being provided that opportunity.
And there's, like you said, when I looked out into the whole, everybody sitting in the chairs there was at least 8 companies in there that we work with every day.
Oh, yeah. We had 4 or 5 vendors in the room, a handful of manufacturers that we work with.
That are helping us be successful. Our success was sitting there in the floor.
Yeah, the more work we send to them, the more that they invest into their companies, that they help somebody else in this room. Networking and just, the student thing is always a plus. We're always looking for that, but we've been we're pretty warmly welcomed.
Amazing. Well, that's a win. That's a win, and thank you for being a part of helping bring that success, that knowledge to bear here to help raise everyone up and invest in the community that way. And it won't be the last time. It's so exciting to know that we're already planning out for the next year and how we can continue to grow that, so the conversation doesn't stop in terms of what we present and talk on the next time around. And the door is always open that way. Thank you so much for being with us, Bill and Jordan. I really appreciate it. And if you're looking to connect with Ace, they're online. They're easy to connect with that way. Thank you for being here and being a part of the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this conversation from the Vertical MRO Conference. If you enjoyed it, feel free to share it with someone in your network who cares about helicopter maintenance and the people who make it happen. To hear more conversations like this, you can find the Vertical MRO podcast on all major platforms. Thanks again for being a part of this growing MRO community, and we'll see you in the next episode.